Alright, back to regular video production and such. I just noticed silly annoyed guy. So, what the hell? Let's play along. Oscar night, I just noticed that. Gravity. Well, Gravity's all one shit award so far. It better not win Best Picture. But I noticed Her was nominated. Her. I couldn't even finish that movie. It was so bad. I don't know. How can they nominate a movie so bad that I can't even watch it? I mean, it's just... Well, I don't want to get vulgar, but I mean, I could jerk off on my computer. We call that a movie? Did we get an Academy Award for that?
Hello, YouTube. So, something that I've learned from interacting with inmendham is that he doesn't understand long sentences.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, that's right. So this is the best you can do. So this is even more feeble than like a Thunderfoot video. Why don't you find a clip of me wearing a Batman mask? Yeah, why don't you do that and call that an argument? But this is just lame. Really, really lame.
I'll get halfway through a sentence, and he'll pause the video, and he'll argue with...
Yeah, you made your whole video, so I guess you know your point, and if there's some point you think I missed, fine. But, to tell you the truth, just go watch Hothliday's video defending your video. Okay? And you'll understand just how bad your video must have been. Yeah. Your argument, your logic, your lack of understanding of the very basic, most basic concepts of logic. Ugh, pitiful.
With what I just said, and then he'll play it again, and you hear me go, but, and then the meaning of the sentence has changed because of the second half of the sentence.
Again, this seems like a pretty lame excuse. I mean, some videos I watch them ahead of time, then I play the video, I respond where I feel response is necessary. If somebody thinks I've done that badly, then go ahead and replay it and show how I got it wrong. But I'm sorry, you're not going to do that, because if you did that, you wouldn't have much of an argument.
So he doesn't understand long sentences, he doesn't understand complex ideas, and he doesn't understand technical language.
Yeah, love, spirituality, what else? What other word did you use? Love, empathy, I think. What other concept? But love, and there was some other, just magical. And then you compared suffering to a potato.
Which, he seems to think that he sort of dances back and forth between common usages of terms and more specific uses of language.
Yeah, whatever. I don't really do that. You people do that. Okay, and you did it in your video. Oh, I wasn't meaning value in the value sense. I was meaning value in the value sense. That's your game, buddy. Let's see, there's a description here. Look at that. Isn't that cute? Gary, I don't know. Your email get words, so I'll try... Oh, you're trying poetry. Isn't that so fucking cute? That ethics is subjective. Oh, here we go. Subjectivity and sentience are the same thing. They mean the same thing. Yeah, let's go look it up. I never heard of that. Subjectivity and sentience are the same thing. Yeah, says you. I should be able to do that with one of my tools here, right? Any one of these tools ought to work. Let's see if I can pick one that won't blow anything up. YouTube comments, no. This one should work. There she goes. But then I lose the video. Yeah, it didn't open a new window, did it? No, it didn't. Yeah, so that's the only downside of that move, Gary. Let's see. Belonging to, proceeding from, or related to the mind of the thinking subject, and not the nature of the object being considered. That's one definition. May be a falsifying influence. So that's sort of my argument of bias. But it may also be an important virtue. I don't even know what that. Adding intimacy, charm, or force. Well, that's another sense that I wouldn't use it in. Let's see. Compared to objectivity would be the good definition, right? Let's just go to the whole definition, dictionary.com. Let's see what else we got. A subjective thought or idea. Well, let's go with the subjective. Yeah, that would be interesting. Okay, that's the mind one. Pertaining to or characteristic of an individual, personal individual. Okay, and then that's sort of the narrow thing right there. That's what I was describing as the narrowing of a perspective. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I don't know exactly where I left off, but so here's the philosophy one, relating to or the nature of an object as it is known in the mind as distinct from a thing in and of itself. So, yeah, so that's sort of the, you know, playing this object-subject game in terms of distinguishing, and of course there's a distinguishing between me and the stuff I'm looking at. But the stuff I'm looking at is me's too, so this object-subject thing doesn't mean too much in a world where other things can look back at you. So this one, this is probably my definition, is down here. Relating to properties or specific conditions of the mind as distinguished from general or universal experience. So there's the distinction between something that is universal or objective, which would be absolute perspective or absolute being, and the subjective portion, the specific conditions of one's mind, the specific understanding, the specific education, knowledge, wisdom of its mechanics and such. So right there you have that's my definition, is this idea of either having a bias or a lack of knowledge as being something you would qualify as subjective. Having complete knowledge and no bias would be the universal, the general, the overall description or documentation or representation or understanding of something. So, and this guy says, okay, if you don't do his definition, you're not allowed to speak on the subject. And that if you're going to have a conversation on the internet, it all must be in his lingo. You cannot have any other meanings or purposes in using words. You must acclimate to him. He speaks Spanish, so I have to speak Spanish, apparently. You know, that kind of thing. And I'm saying, fuck you. I don't have to do that. So anyway, back to the video. Sorry, it's going to have to be a little sliced and diced because I, you know, jumped away from the video. My mistake.
Hello, YouTube. So, something that and more specific uses of language. So, how to respond in such a way,
yeah, blah blah blah,
so as to be understood. How to simplify my points in a way that they can be easily grasped. And so I decided that I would have a little fun, and I wrote 40 haikus.
Yeah, cool.
Did this earlier today.
So I'll just destroy those later.
So I wrote 40 haikus in response to inmendham. Yeah.
So that's like what, speaking German now. Let's all play haiku game. So we can only do this by playing haiku-y. You know, we got a haiku back and forth. Pathetic.
And I will read them aloud now.
Oh dear.
1. Gary, I don't know. You're unable to get words, so I'll try haikus.
Cool.
2. Subjectivity and sentience are the same. They mean the same thing.
They mean the same thing. So again, so that's what he's telling me. This is some kind of generic thing that everybody's taught in like 6th grade. There's no other way to understand the word subjectively. There's no other context that's legitimate. You must do it his way. So when somebody says, when somebody talks about something like a subjective bias, well, there's no other. He's just saying that sentience is a feeling. Feelings are obviously, in their core, in their rudimentary core, a declaration, right? You either feelings can fall into 2 basic categories, right? Good and bad. What makes us feel good or bad? What qualitatively? What kind of feeling we actually experience? A good feeling, a bad feeling. Can be determined by the different levels of our structure. Now we all know that it's a bad feeling if your personal physical space is, like if bones are broken. Everybody experiences that as a negative. Everybody. A testicle being crushed. Every male is going to experience that as a negative unless they've been anesthetized or something. It's generally speaking, universally, without special super circumstances, it will be experienced as a negative sensation. We all know what these negative sensations are. They're based on the crudest function. And we have these levels of more elaborate function, more elaborate textual sensation. So it's like some people are bothered by being tickled. It's irritating and annoying. Some people find it very pleasurable. So we know we have those kind of different sensitivities. Some people hear nails on a chalkboard and it's very irritating. Other people say, oh, that's fine, cool. Styrofoam, different things we can do to each other to irritate each other. Some people like the sound of a dog barking. Some people find it obnoxious. So we have these sensibilities that are they're physical, kind of rudimentary, but they're more advanced than the rawness of fire burning your skin. They're more complicated than that, a little bit more diverse than that, more individualistic, more cultural. Okay, but there are a lot of generalities, a lot of simple categories they fall into, and they end up creating emotional responses like grief or guilt, or these different experiences that are semi-common. And we experience them kind of commonly, but we experience them to different levels, and we express them certainly in different ways. And then you have this even higher order where we intellectually run models, representations, we symbolically associate things with things, and now we can have a sensation related to colors and different things that are only affecting us because of our artistic taste, because we have some kind of color sense, or we have some sort of understanding of a context. I could show you a picture of a samurai, and people could have 2 different reactions. Some people might think of honor and integrity and defending the poor, or doing this or doing that, and then other people think of a tyrant and brutality and misdirected violence, or they'll have different reactions based on their context that will apply to that image, and so it's even more complex. Now, what I would argue is the more educated, the more informed, the less subjective these things become, and the more catered to some other standard of it's less associated with the subject and more associated with some other mechanism of judgment or some other mechanism of perspective. And ultimately, the ideal is to be completely separated from your race or your nationhood or your family or all these subjective ties, these subjective reactions, seeing everybody through an image of your mother or your father or your that prejudice. And the further you get away from those, the more objective your perspective becomes. And obviously the more informed it becomes and the more detailed it becomes, the more objective it becomes. But it clearly becomes less subjective as you move from the crudest part of it. So I'll concede the point that the crudest of a subjective opinion is tied to rudimentary sentience itself. But that's where it ends. I mean, there's we are subjectively reacting on much higher levels than just that.
3. Therefore, you agree that ethics is subjective. There is no rock rape.
Alright, now does that make any sense? Therefore, you agree that ethics is subjective. I just don't see any. Why would I agree to that? Ethics has to do with the exchanges taking place between two separate subjects, two separate entities that have a subjective interest, a capacity to feel good or bad. They will create value in having those experiences. I mean, this is just simplistic drivel. Where is there any obligation to agree with this statement that ethics is subjective? You know, just because I feel like I'm better than somebody, that would be idiotic. I obviously know that's not the standard. I know the standard's higher than that. If I hate somebody, they're automatically wrong. They're bad by definition, empirically proven. We all know that's not true. We all know, we've all heard the phrase, judge a book by its cover. Obviously our subjective first crudest reaction, we all know, may be entirely rubbish, and that we have to dig much deeper than that. We have to climb out of our subjectivity and find the truth. That you won't find the truth reading the cover. You'll find the truth by opening the book and gaining information and context, which is exactly the opposite of being subjective. It's attempting to be objective. So all ethics is, all legitimate ethics are objective. So you agree with me, right? There is no rock rape. Well, that's quite true. But there is no... Rape is not in the reaction of the witness. Rape is in the fact of the victim. Fool. Yes, fool.
4. Minimizing pain. Is this the highest value? I am skeptical.
It is the rudimentary value. So to say it's the highest value would be kind of missing the point. But if you just added a couple of words there, minimizing pain. Minimizing unnecessary pain. Now, is there something better you could do with an existence than to eliminate pain that has been declared unnecessary because it has no redeeming good? It produces no redeeming value. It's just in and of itself waste. Okay, so I say minimizing wasted pain. So pain that's been by a qualified, decent standard recognized to be wasteful. Yeah, is there something better you could do with your time? No, I don't believe there is anything better you could do with your time than if you could prevent a 6-year-old kid from having cancer and going through chemotherapy. That would be quite an excellent thing to do with your time. If you could prevent a kid from having its arm cut off by a wheat combine, that would be just totally cool. You can't really do better than that. If you can ever have a moment like that, where you can actually achieve something like that in your existence, where you can actually prevent somebody from being horribly injured and damaged for life, that's about as good as life gets, I would say. So yes, it is the highest value. You're skeptical because you haven't really thought about it. I don't think. What do you think is a higher value? A kid's arm not getting torn off. What in the world do you think is worth more than that? You want to try naming something? I don't think you'll succeed.
5. If the world implodes, we have an obligation to go down with it.
What does that mean? Do we? I don't know. I signed up somehow. I signed a contract to go down with the Earth ship. I was paid good money. I signed a contract for a good salary to be the owner of planet Earth. I'm not allowed to manage it. Not one person has followed a single order I've given. So I guess I have no control over it. I have no responsibility for it. Give me control and I'll go down with the ship. Give me the power and I'll take full responsibility for everything I do. But without power, I take no responsibility. You're the assholes imposing. You're the assholes voting for the imposition. You're the assholes who need to go down with the ship. So yeah, I just find that just idiotic. I just find it idiotic. And obviously the point is there's no lifeboat anyway. There's no not going down with the ship. There's no alternative. There's sea ice and a boat sinking. There's nothing else. There's nowhere else to go. You're going to die. The ship goes down, you're done. There are no lifeboats. So why wouldn't everybody have to go down, not by obligation, but not by having an obligation? You're going to be obligated whether you like it or not.
6. We're making our bed. Now we ought to lie in it, or else we're cowards.
I don't know. Does that make any sense to you? I mean, really. I mean, you can make some kind of... I made the bed. I had babies. I created life on Earth. I didn't do any of this bed making. We ought to lie in it. If you were just lying in it, that'd be fine. But you're forcing other people to be your bedding material. You're obliging them to be the chair you sit on. You are extorting out of them their welfare. You're claiming to be a competent sea captain, and yeah, you're grinding them up and throwing them in the ovens. This is just bullshit. You are a coward, that is true. You've got that correct, but you're also an exploiter, and that's the reason why you should be... you ought to have to lie, and you ought to have to eat the shit you've sold.
7. When my own actions lead to my own suffering, it is well deserved.
Couldn't say it better myself. So where in any of my videos have I obliged you to do anything else but eat shit and die? I'd be very happy if that's all you're going to do, is eat shit and die yourself. I'm not very happy, but I'm just saying, yeah, go ahead. But again, that isn't the subject of antinatalism. You titled your video Antinatalism. So you think that when my own actions lead to my own suffering, it is well deserved. So you think this has something to do with the subject of antinatalism. Procreation is your suffering. So when you create another human being, when my parents created me, they're the ones that are experiencing the life. I don't experience it. If I die of cancer, they'll experience the suffering. I won't. Is that your theory? Well, it's a preposterously idiotic theory. Yeah, sorry. Too stupid.
8. To flee from this pain is worse than enduring it. This is obvious.
Okay, so to take an aspirin is foolish. Wow. Let's burn down all the drugstores right away. No more alcohol, you painkiller people. Yeah, certainly your addiction seems rather silly, right? What's the worst if you stop smoking? What's the worst you're going to experience? Some pain? Well, man up, buddy. What is this? This is just tripe. To flee from pain is worse than enduring it. Who thinks that makes any sense? And he calls that obvious. Sorry, you're insane.
9. It follows, therefore, there's something more to ethics than mere suffering.
Name it. Name something that matters more than a 6-year-old kid's arm. Name something, the experience of having its arm torn off. Name something in the universe that's worth more than somebody on Mengele's torture chair or torture table. Name some kind of manifestation of energy or arrangement of matter somewhere in the universe that is somehow worth more. Explain it to me. I don't see how it's possible. And to call something mere suffering. I mean, there's something more to ethics than mere suffering. I mean, again, glib. So you've mirrorized. Well, that makes it easier for you, right? I mean, you can certainly justify World War III that way, because it's just going to cause mere suffering. And who cares about that? Because the glory of the iPod 5 is going to be so great that it's certainly worth a few world wars at least, right? I mean, for the tweets and Twitters alone. Yeah. Yeah. Pathetic.
10. It is an honor to suffer in service to a higher value.
I wish you would just tell me what this higher value is. So what's your higher value? I mean, it's just... Yeah. Sorry, I don't see it looking at you, frankly. I don't see anything. I don't hear anything. You're not... There's nothing so charming about your voice. So what is it? Where's the higher value? Oh, just such tripe.
11. You like to say that I'm a typical human. This, of course, is true.
Yeah, you're a typical pig. Yep. Oink, oink. Dumb as a pig. Smelly as a pig. Crass as a pig.
12. You're not wrong to say that humans are a cancer. Therefore, so am I.
Right, and you're happy with that. So yeah, no standards is the typical human reaction. I don't want to be accountable. I don't want to be fairly judged because I know I suck, therefore I lose, and you don't want to just admit that. You suck. Okay, fine. You do suck, and you're proud of it. Amazing. Typically human, yes. Only a human could be proud of sucking. The pigs of Animal Farm.
13. I admit freely that I share in the burden of our own folly.
So you share in the burden? What does that mean? You don't share in the burden, you share in the culpability. You are the folly. Your recklessness, your glibness, your sloppiness, your piggishness has created the folly. That's right. You wish to not do anything, take any responsibility, do anything to fix anything, because you're a pig. A lazy, selfish slob. Bravo. Typically human.
14. The brokenness of the world is on my shoulders, as well as your own.
Again, no it isn't. You're voting for it, I'm voting against it. It's your fault, not mine, quite obviously. I didn't vote for tax cuts for the rich. Not my fault. Your fault. Yeah, so clearly you're voting for the idiocracy. You're responsible for it.
15. To be human is to be at fault for this mess. Always already.
Well, again, it's just silly. There's many fine, elegant humans that have existed on planet Earth. They did everything they could with their life and their energy to prevent the mess, to fix the mess, to do something about the mess. And instead of glorifying them or iconizing them, you've iconized cunts like Kant and morons like Nietzsche, making you a douchebag.
16. We suffer and die. We make things worse and worse yet. This is our birthright.
Yeah, you could say it's a birthright for us to be bugs, to act like monkeys, to be apes. But I would argue that your birthright is overwhelmed by the fact that you have been educated and now you have birth responsibilities. So, you know, the responsibilities of education. So let's just put it that way. You have responsibilities of knowledge. So I would argue that your responsibilities of knowledge, of knowing, the responsibility of knowing, it overwhelms any birthright you have to be an asshole. You're not allowed to shit your pants anymore, fuckhead. So stop doing it.
17. This fact, however, does not absolve me or you of our core duties.
Now, whatever that means, your core duty apparently is to be a pig and a moron. I don't see you advocating for anything else.
18. It is a duty to suffer that which we have brought upon ourselves.
Yeah, well, again, I think that's one of your Kantian duties. One of your high order ethics is to, in the service of a bad plan, it is your obligation to implement a bad idea. Be a good little Christian or Nazi soldier. No. No. This was brought on by, this problem is brought on by fools and idiots and scumbags. And that's you. You're one of them. This isn't brought on by ourselves. This is brought on by specific human beings with specific insensitivities. You possess those insensitivities. You are the creator of the mediocrity and the slop.
19. You want to opt out. This is irresponsible. You are a coward.
Yeah, well, I could call you all kinds of names too. I think I will. Look, pussy, you're the one that can't handle the truth, the true responsibilities of your intellectual capacity. You're running away from your obligations. You know better, you don't do better. You know better, you don't do better. Alright? Because you're a coward. Because you're the thief. Because you're the scheming, conniving, selfish cunt. Yeah. And just to be clear, I'm not the one asking to opt out. I'm asking, okay, to take full responsibility for my actions, not to be held responsible for your actions.
20. By what right do you presume to speak for victims? Anne Frank held to hope.
How do you know that? Were you there when she died? Were you there on the side of her bed taking a commentary? I don't remember her writing any subsequent chapters before she was captured. So who are you to speak for her and tell us how wonderful it was to die of typhus in a shithole while her family might have been killed right in front of her eyes? Who the fuck knows? You saying she was hopeful right to the end? Is that what you're saying? Because you know better? And do you think that matters? Do you think everybody should take advice about what the prospects are for the human race from a child, living in an attic, thinking about her own life and her own thwarted ambitions? I mean, beautiful commentary, beautiful statements, but I mean, really, is that where you're going to go to get your philosophy? You're going to go ask a teenage girl in Germany? Sorry, pal. Not even close.
21. Was she wrong in this? Did she fail to use reason? Or are you just weak?
Did she know the full context of the Nazi war? Did she? Did she know what was really happening? Did she? No, she didn't know any of that. So again, to claim to speak for somebody who, again, she didn't write a novel from the dead. She didn't make a political statement from the dead. She wrote a diary. And you're saying that her diary is a statement for which all human beings must live by Anne Frank's perspective on God and beauty and purpose? Is that your statement? Well, it's a pretty weak and stupid statement. And frankly, reading her, I don't remember her inspiring me with hope. I remember it being quite tragically sad. I mean, she didn't really like the people she was even living with, shithead. Did you ever pick up that part of the story? I mean, she found her life quite obnoxious. What was she hopeful about? A future she was never going to see. I mean, did she see the future she hoped for? Any piece of it at all? Any piece of it at all? Oh no, that's right, she didn't.
22. Hope where there is none. Persistence in the face of the apocalypse.
What is it Einstein says about assholes who keep doing the same shit and expecting a different result? Amazing is all I guess I can say. So why don't you be an atheist for faith? Just have faith. Isn't faith the same thing as hope? What is faith in the face of the apocalypse? Superman's going to be here any day.
23. We work for a good world that will likely not come. Work for its own sake.
So there you go again. More, what, Kantian logic, civicist nonsense. Do it because the boss says so. Yeah, you know. I'll call you a coward if you don't. Yeah, fuck you. Oh, hilarious.
24.
Oh, I'm gonna love this one.
Outcomes don't matter. Ethics is about the work of making the world.
Oh, of making the world what? Yeah, of everybody exploiting the fuck. The work of stealing money from each other, conniving and wheeling, dealing. So ethics isn't about all the cheap, crass motives revolving around almost every activity human beings engage in. No, not at all. Outcomes don't matter. Outcomes don't matter. Quite amazing. So all you need is good intentions. You know, I want to do you a favor. Okay, I want you to become edified. So, you know, isn't that the Inquisition all over the place? I want to save your soul. Huh? So, yeah, they're just doing the good work, the good ethical work of saving your soul. Outcomes don't matter. The fact that we have to kill you to make you say you love Jesus, outcomes don't matter. You're an idiot. Does a melted down nuclear power plant matter? You just hear just a dead child after you know, we won't go into it.
25.
I mean, really, you know, good intentions in the face of what? A world full of risk. A world where there is just no way you can just play that game of ignoring the fact that you're accountable for the end result. Again, what activity can we engage in with any kind of 100% assurance of not fucking it up? And for you to say it's okay to fuck it up just because most of the time it doesn't get fucked up is just basically to say it's alright to fuck over the slave. It's alright to exploit the slaves because most people enjoy it. Most people benefit from it. So therefore it's okay. Outcomes don't matter.
And so I have hope, not because it's warranted, but because it's strength.
Oh yeah, right. Hope is a power. Hope is a demonstration of integrity and quality and authority and substance. Integrity. Yeah, hope is a real word of integrity. Yeah, fuck you. Faith is a strength. You might as well just be religious kooks. I mean, wouldn't religious people say exactly this? And so I have faith, not because it is warranted, but because of its strength. They say the same thing in defense of their silly religions.
26. The difference between myself and you is simple. You can't take the pain.
No, you want to, you know, but I guess that's just part of your arrogance, right? You don't know what somebody else's feels, but you will challenge them. You'll challenge their reality. You'll say you can take it. You'll step into my shoes and say you could walk my trail of tears or my trail of hardship and that you could take it. You're claiming you're tougher than me, and yet you haven't lived 10 seconds of my internal life. You can't see the arrogance of that? You know, by claiming your superiority here, that you really do deserve to get it right in the ass. You know, you really do. That's just so insulting. How dare you? How dare you? Fuckhead. I mean, I just wish I could give you that fair deal. I wish I could give you a fair opportunity. But sadly, that's not a possibility. Damn.
27. Some can be tortured and not give up their comrades. This is ethical.
I don't even know what to say about that. Some can be tortured and not give up their comrades, and some can't. And so, you know, McCain was captured by the Viet Cong and gave up his comrades, so to speak. He talked, but he was tortured. So he wasn't ethical. Or he wasn't ethical enough by your standards, because you're a tough guy and you could take the torture. I don't even know what you're saying. Again, so that's just so arrogant of you also. You're saying you could take it. You know you can take it. Fuck you.
28. The ethical, then, is not simply reducing pain, but enduring.
Enduring.
29.
Enduring what? Enduring what? You say nothing. Enduring. Survive for the sake of survival. Be a pig like you. No, you're repulsive, obnoxious. I would rather, and then just put a list of horrible things to do rather than be you. The ethical then is not simply reducing pain, but enduring. So the ethical thing to do is not to reduce pain. Just leave it at that. Reducing pain of somebody else is not the ethical thing to do. Not causing pain to somebody else is not the ethical thing to do. The ethical thing to do is what? Throw rocks in the air and hit yourself in the head. Like in your case, it would be like asking clean, decent people out on a date. Because no doubt you get rejected every time. Oh, fuck.
If to endure is to be responsible, then how does one endure?
If to endure is to be responsible, how is that, again, how does this have anything to do with, you know, again, you just keep using these words, endure, endure, let's see how many times, comrade, torture, pain, you're just such a brave little toaster. Yeah. See, with other people's welfare. You're so brave to pull the straws and stick them in somebody else's pocket. Wow, what a courageous little fuck. No, I'm sorry. I don't think so.
30. The only answer is purely irrational hope for its own sake.
Well, again, I will not dignify that kind of rubbish with anything. There's nothing to say. Just replace the word hope with faith, and there you go. The only answer is purely irrational faith for its own sake. Love Jesus, and that's all you have to do.
31. Reading accounts of victims of atrocities will clarify this.
It will clarify what? Irrational hope? Every atrocity victim was a hopeful individual who just hoped, and everything was okay because they hoped. Yeah, my sister, when she was dying of cancer, had hope. And she had hope until the last 6 months or so, and then she had the most dismal and horrid fear because she realized there was no hope, and she was going to die and leave her daughter without a mother. Is she a victim or no? Does her victimhood count? She was a religious kook. She lived for Jesus. You pretty much cursed him at the end.
32. You feel entitled to speak for them, yet not learn what their pain has taught them.
Well, obviously, did your death teach them something too? Again, so you're speaking for the dead. You're speaking for the dead Anne Frank and the dead Einstein, the dead everybody. You're speaking for all the dead people and telling me I must believe that they all think life was just super cool and it's a really good idea to make more of it. So that's the subject of antinatalism to you. People living through horror on hope. So just make a bunch of dumb people, because they're more likely to do that, you know that. The dumber they are, the more hope they're likely to have. So you're a big fan of idiocracy. Idiocracy is ethical. The dumber you make the human race, the more irrationally hopeful it'll be, the more suffering it'll endure, and that means we're successful. We win. The human race wins that way. Be dumb and take a lot of big dick up the ass. Okay.
33. This is disrespect for the suffering endured. It's obscenity.
Disrespect. So you're disrespecting suffering. Again, he can speak for the dead. He can speak for the suffering, but nobody else can. They can't even speak from their own experience. They can't even say, in my opinion, based on the suffering I have endured, I find it obnoxious that you would decide for me that I should appreciate or respect or find anything but obnoxious violation in your rape of my right to be left alone. Fuck you. We're somewhere around here.
34. You use others' pain to justify shitting on others' happiness.
Prove it. Prove anywhere I've done that. Anywhere. That's just a lie. But yeah, that's the kind of petty liar you are. So that's fine. I shit on all happiness just because happiness is almost like a silly pill. It's almost like a drunkard's happiness. To be drunk in the face of the price paid. To be happy in the face of the price paid is a huge character flaw.
35. This is not moral. This is parasitic.
Oh, stop right there. It's parasitic, right. Not procreating is parasitic. Fuck you.
In the highest degree.
Yeah, you're the parasite creator, fucker. You're the pain creator. You're the suffering creator. You are the Mangala. You are the evil one. Yeah.
36. If you can't endure, you've failed at being human. Learn to live or die.
Yeah, fuck you. I'll choose to do whatever I want with my... Obviously, I'm enduring, aren't I, asshole? What I'm suggesting is you don't have a right to impose it on somebody else to take it, you fucking cunt. You're not God. What are your qualifications to decide for something else what it should endure? Who gives you the right to tell something what it must endure? Fuck you. You just can't die badly enough. I hope you get a chance to endure, which you deserve, you fuck.
37. The world is absurd. You can either learn to cope, or you can implode.
Well, again, explain it to me. Exactly how am I not coping, you fuck? Alright? And I'm trying to prevent something absurd. And you're saying that's irrationality. That's illogical. That's not philosophically informed or enlightened. To sit there and prevent the absurd is not something a rational brain should do. God, you are just so despicable and disgusting, grotesque and horrid. Ugh, I do despise you.
38. Every moment that you don't commit suicide, you are choosing life.
So that's just another silly point to make, right? I mean, quite obviously, it's not a free choice. Killing yourself requires you to destroy a physical body, which we are fundamentally and physically built to protect. And so it's just silly to sit there and say it's a free choice, and therefore you are responsible for it. And in the second place, if I was leaving it